Fergus MacIntyre was a man who lived in two dimensions. To fans of science fiction, he was the writer nicknamed Froggy, a witty and eloquent author of numerous books, articles, and short stories of great promise, and a raconteur who dressed like a British clubman and claimed to have trotted the globe and hobnobbed with famous writers. Then there was Fergus, the gruff, disheveled pack rat whose eccentricity stood out along 20th Avenue in the working-class Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn.
Fergus was an unusual character. He was a creative science fiction writer. He was like a character of one of his fiction or science fiction stories.
His one-bedroom apartment was stuffed with decades of work and waste, including copies of his own books and articles, as well as many unsold manuscripts and rejection letters. It all became fuel for a fire he methodically lit on June 25th to end his life at age 59. It was almost like something out of one of his stories.
I mean, at the end, it seems like he really started to lose it. And he did lose it, because he barricaded in an apartment. He put gas fluid all over the place, and he lit himself up. Not only that, but he lit the apartment up along with him.
Froggy often told people he was orphaned by a Scottish family and raised in an Australian orphanage and child labor camp. But no one really seems to know his true history. He used a slew of aliases, and it took city officials weeks to even ID his body, which still lies unclaimed in the Brooklyn morgue and may be headed for a pauper's burial in Potter's Field. Once the toast of science fiction circles, a darling of writers' conventions all over the world, Froggy became increasingly reclusive in his third-floor apartment, which fire department officials likened to the famous overstuffed Collier Brothers mansion in Harlem. Froggy was celebrated in certain sci-fi circles, and his death was big news among his fans. But when I visited his building after his death to talk to his neighbors, really the only one who knew the first thing about him, or even that he was a writer, was Ben Moorer.
He was talking about how he couldn't get money coming in, how he wasn't able to get work, how he was very depressed, he didn't feel well, he was upset about family situation, upset about his upbringing.
The fire was put out with no other serious injuries, but neighbors were shocked and outraged.
But here he sat in a chair and set fire to himself. Do you know what kind of mind you had to have at that moment? You had to be completely destroyed in your mind. It has to be.
There was a huge collection of esoteric science fiction books and journals, personal correspondences, and drawers full of notices of unpaid taxes. All told, it took a 5-man crew 2 full days to cart out the contents of apartment C9 and fill a 20-yard dumpster at the curb.
How much stuff was in the apartment?
A lot. I mean, if you was to go and take a look, I mean, just by looking here, you could tell that this person had accumulated a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? You would think, on the outside, he's a real decent gentleman, but when you go behind closed doors, that's why they say you never know a person until you really get to know him when he's inside his crib. You know what I'm saying? But I hope that he made peace with his maker and that he found himself going where he wanted to go.